The year is 1999. The populace is awed at the Phantom Menace on the big silver screen, and the onset of panic for the feared Y2K is on the horizon. But through the darkest night, a beacon of hope and joy shines. But just what could possibly deliver the population from their fears and worries? This fucking guy. Ape Escape. Released on June 23rd, 1999 for the Sony PlayStation as a platform title that really broke the mold and set itself apart from its contemporaries. For context, in that same year, we as a species were graced with bangers. I'm talking OG Smash Bros, Crash Team Racing, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and fucking Pepsi Man. Pepsi Man, people. That's hard to top. Just look at this. It's beautiful. But none of that matters. We're here for Ape Escape. Now you may be wondering, of all the games, why Ape Escape? And the truth is, I've known about Ape Escape as an entity for some years now, and I recognize the apes as characters. But when PlayStation 64 came out last year and I played the Ape Escape Legacy level, my neurons activated, and I got to dip my pinky toe into exactly what Ape Escape was all about. So shout out to Team Asobi number 1. Number 2, I decided to finally pull the trigger and check out the official Ape Escape games as a little passion project of mine. And what better place to start than the original? So, with the little money I have, I decided to pay for the PlayStation Plus Premium subscription in order to get access to these relics somewhat officially. That wasn't a gag either. I ain't rich, so it actually mean a lot if you'd hit that like button down there. There's also a subscribe button too, since you're already down there, you know. And I guess you could go ahead and let me know down in the comments what your favorite retro games are, and maybe I'll check them out. Right off the bat with something I like about the game, the plot is pretty straightforward for the most part. We'll talk about the ending in a little bit, but starting out, this anime protag is Spike, and with his best pal Jake, they race off to the professor's lab in the hopes of checking out his newly built time machine, because why not go to the past where literally everything would want you for lunch with a side salad? The issue, however, is Spectre, a uniquely white ape that got his little mitts on one of the professor's inventions, a helmet that grants him increased intelligence, a sinister temperament, and the voice of an obnoxious anime schoolboy that's always trying to show off his wealth and status to the protag. He's this guy. Anime asshole Spectre decides to use his time machine to send his newly formed army of somewhat intelligent apes to various points throughout history in order to rewrite history for apes to be the dominant species. Honestly, not the worst plan in the world, pretty straight to the point too. Someone tell Ubisoft they can take notes. You don't need 8 hours of exposition and system setup to play a game that you paid for. This act of insanity though launches Spike and Jake into the past as well, albeit separating them in the process. And this is where the actual game begins. We get some transmissions from the professor summing up general information and mission objectives he's trusting this 10-year-old to handle on his own, while he and his granddaughter Natalie act as the guy in the chair back at the lab. Shout out to off-brand Miku Cassie, or is it Casey? I don't know. Nevertheless, this is where the game begins. The opening level, Fossil Field, is a generally safe and direct training ground to introduce mechanics and allow players to practice without much punishment. And practice is definitely something I needed. See, Ape Escape, in all its ingenuity and creativity, utilizes pretty much every button and function of the DualShock controller it could. The left stick moves Spike around, that's normal. The buttons are used to equip whatever item you map to it. We've seen that in Zelda before. The bumpers act as a first-person mode and aiming buttons. But there are two things that I struggled so much trying to get accustomed to. That right stick and the L1 button. See, the right stick, rather than what my Gen Z console gamer thumbs are accustomed to, that being the camera control stick, is instead forced to rely on hitting the L1 in order to turn the camera to look at Spike's back. Alright.
How do I turn on the camera? Yeah. Do that. There we go.
This leaves the right stick as more of a utility stick. The right stick, and sometimes even the left stick, are utilized in pretty unique ways that aren't really that comfortable or natural to me at all. When using the stun club, for example, whatever direction I input the right stick in, that's where Spike swings, which also requires me to press L1 in order to look in the new direction Spike is facing. With items like the Skyflyer, I have to rotate the right stick repeatedly while moving Spike with the left. For vehicles, it takes both sticks sometimes. That functions entirely independently in order to function efficiently. In the tank, the left stick controls only the left set of tracks, with the right stick controlling the right set, leaving the attacks to be handled by R3 and L3. It was very confusing and jarring to me as someone that isn't really used to the war zone the old heads had to deal with back in the day when it comes to game controls. But this isn't really a complaint to me, despite how frustrating it was at first. It really only started to get in the way a bit when I was trying to deal with some of the more challenging apes and platforming segments. In truth, I thought it was super charming and innovative, something I think Sony tried to continue with even now with the reactive resistance triggers on the DualSense controllers. I just wish more games utilize fun gimmicks with the hardware. I'd say I overall enjoyed the general gameplay loop. Spawn in, run around variously sized locations, and nab the designated number of apes, or monkeys, that Casey tells you to get before the stage. If you're going through the game casually, there really isn't too many apes you need to capture, only 102 out of the total 204 are necessary. But alas, I'm not a filthy casual. Sometimes, if it's not too hard. Having a pleasant little jaunt through the various locations of the game showed me a nice variety of stages to explore and appreciate. Admittedly, the stages sorta make sense, like they aren't insanely out there or innovative. You got beach, ruins, jungle, carnival, etc. Nothing crazy on the surface, but it's the environment themselves that you explore and play around in that make everything way more entertaining than I can really describe. You just have to play it. Or trust me. Or both. One super unique stage to me is Dexter's Island. Starting out, Spike's outside on a pretty remote island with not much going on. Even the music is absent. But give the big dino, the professor named Dexter for some reason, a whack on the upper lip, and take a trip in his guts to find the rest of the stage and the music. Fun stage. F this monkey though.
Oh, this bites.
So, I've talked about the stages, but how do we get through them? With gadgets, of course. There are 8 that you get throughout the game, with a final 9th one that you earn as a post-game reward to use for a total completion. The most iconic gadget, the Time Net, is used for capturing apes, as I'm sure you've gathered. I've already mentioned the bonk stick and the wrist breaker. There's also the water net for swimming, the slingback shooter for ranged attacks, the super hoop for trying to somehow navigate an area with funny controls while having super speed and rotating the right stick the whole time, the monkey radar for all your monkey tracking and observing needs, the RC car for some simulated tag team monkey action or when the hole is just too small, leaving the Mega Punch as the post-game reward to break stuff for completion hunting. Like I mentioned before, some of the controls for these gadgets can be a bit cumbersome. They can sometimes make catching fast apes difficult and platforming frustrating, but I still find them fun and intuitive. The same can be said for the minigames, however. Not because they're bad, but because I am awful at them. See, Ape Escape has 3 minigames that are unlocked by collecting 10, 20, and 40 Spectre coins. These big-ass coins with Spectre's smug-ass face on them. The first is Ski Kids Racing, with these goofy, paper-thin racers. Then Spectre Boxing, and finally Galaxy Monkey, which is essentially monkey asteroids. I think they're all pretty entertaining, but damn were they difficult. And since the only trophy associated with them is the ones for unlocking them, I didn't really bother going too far. By the time you collect 40 Spectre coins, you're likely at the end of the game. The final level, Monkey Madness, has a whopping 24 monkeys available to capture, with 5 being required. The level sees Spike entering the very same amusement park that previously housed Spectre, and let me tell you, Spectre's sick, man. He captured Natalie and the professor, holding them hostage with no real plan. Just gonna let them sit in cages and rot, I swear he would. But Spike frees them both after some fun level segments, to say the least.
Oh shit!
Whoa!
I was not ready for the bounce. No, you fucking goddamn it!
Then he encounters Jake, who tries to fucking murder you with a car.
You and I have always been good competitors, but this is it. Let's settle this once and for all. Let's see who's really the best.
What does this
Let's
have to
go.
do with getting monkeys? I don't understand. Oh my god. What the fuck is it? What is happening? Fuck you, Spike, you fucking maniac. And this is not a go-kart. Jesus. I stood point blank. He's gonna die! How is he alive?
Jake! The level culminates in Angel Island returning to the skies with Spectre deep in the heart of his castle that he just now has for some reason, with Spike heading inside on his own to take him down. The final gauntlet right before the boss really tested my patience though.
Stop. No, what the— oh my god.
See, I started playing this game after work on Friday. My goal was to get all of my recording done over the weekend so I could spend my time during the week writing the script, recording this voiceover, and editing footage. I finished the game Sunday night, and by that point, after spending 3 days playing pretty consistently, I was running on fumes. So combine that with the spiraling ascent with bottomless pits at every fucking turn, almost completely out of lives, and a platform that didn't come back because I swear I thought it was a bounce pad, not something I stand on.
Okay, I was not supposed to do that. Can you come back, platform? Pretty please? Soon? Oh no. What? Oh my god, please come back, platform. It has to come back, right? Fuck. Okay, hang on.
I was ready to lose it. But, despite the hardships, I persevered and came face to face with the head honcho himself. Spectre's boss fight is divided into 2 segments, with the first part actually taking place from Spectre's perspective.
Oh shit, what the fuck? Whoa! Okay.
I'm telling you, this game is like leaking charm out of every corner. And as a quick side note about that, as Spike goes prone or blends in, well, the game's version of blending in, the music switches to a more low-key rendition. There's a lot of instruments that are absent, very quiet, very toned down. Sneaky. That is until he's back on his feet. It's a pretty cool addition if you ask me, and I really like things like that when developers put it in. It just adds that little seasoning on top, you know? Anyway, Spectre Part 2 swaps to a more traditional fight in which Spike dodges his attacks until the big green button shows itself for a good whack. Pretty straightforward, but still satisfying. Now, with Spectre out of the picture, promising to return, a new day rises with the Professor, Natalie, and Jake, watching the sunrise where they spot Spike returning home from a job well done. Almost done, at least. See, that's the normal ending of the game. This is where the completion quest really begins. With all the gadgets in hand, now we have to backtrack to all the previous stages and capture all the remaining apes. Upon starting up the game again and jumping into a level, the Professor hands over the Magic Punch, which earned me both the Put 'em Up trophy and the Platinum trophy. No ape can escape, but that's not all I'm here for. I want every ape caught. While I'm at it, I may as well grab every Spectre coin too, right? I'm broke enough in real life, I don't want to be broke in the game too. So another hour or so of backtracking, searching up and down and all around, and there were a few times I considered saying fuck this, I got the Platinum. Looking at you, Caro. Nevertheless, with the Spectre coins collected and every ape of the game in our possession, it's still not over. See, as a final farewell and thank you from our favorite albino monkey, Spectre has one final challenge for Spike, leading to Ape Escape's secret alternate ending. It all comes down to this. Spike and Spectre make a gamble for all the marbles. One final battle, winner takes all. If Spike wins, Spectre goes back to the circus and removes the helmet for good. If Spectre comes out on top, well, Planet of the Apes becomes a reality. Peak Point Matrix acts as a sort of testing ground for many of the gadgets we picked up throughout the game. But that being said, the path to victory is a simple one. wait for Spectre to drop the plasma bomb, dodge said bomb with the Sky Flyer, retaliate with rocks until he gets down off his stupid ass chair, then phase 2 begins. Shake those hips like it's nobody's business to avoid taking damage, punch the shit out of the monkey until PETA sends a letter, repeat, capture albino ape, finish the game off. Like I said, straightforward. Now, before I let you hostages of the screen go, there's one more aspect of Ape Escape I really want to touch on, arguably my favorite part, the music. The soundtrack is consistently fantastic in my opinion, full of upbeat, energetic tracks that really showcase just what life was like at the turn of the century, especially the music of a game like this. It's not super contemplative or introspective, it's really straightforward music that gets me raring to jump into a stage and capture all the apes. In fact, I actually have a bunch of the tracks downloaded on Spotify, and I like to listen to them while I run. It's surprisingly effective, I promise. Now, there are a few exceptions, of course. Like I mentioned before, there's this really interesting track found in the beginning area of Dexter's Island called Silence. But I think my favorite non-upbeat track is one that you'll hear quite often in the game, and you've probably already heard in this video, the Time Station. The theme of the Central Hub is just this laid-back tune that puts me in the headspace of floating through space, not bound to any particular time or location. I'm on a reprieve, a moment to rest, relax, and take my time before heading back into the thick of things and capturing more apes. I listen to it when I'm on my way to work in the morning, unironically. If you're curious, maybe check out the soundtrack. They delivered a remix of the entire OST in 2011, and it's called Ape Escape Originate Soundtrack. It's worth it, I promise. But with that being said, the original Ape Escape, despite its age, is a demonstration of charm and passion for the craft over simple monetary gain, and getting just anything out the door and to the customers. It's the tiny things that really stand out to me the most. The music changing while prone, the gimmicks of the monkeys, the way the characters don't take things overly seriously and in some cases, possibly know that they're in a video game. So thank you, Sony of the past, for innovating and creating a short and sweet game that helped pave the way for a new age of gaming. Thanks for watching the video, and remember, keep hanging in there. But you definitely did give me a new perspective on apes.